Hey guys, it's Jake here from Flooded Marsh Flies. Sorry for no upload last week. College got a little busy. We're in the full swing around here, so therefore 2 videos this week, one Tuesday and one Friday as well. Today I'm tying the Tarpon Bug. To be honest with you, I've never fished this fly for tarpon because it's pretty difficult to find tarpon around me, but it has worked for any warm water species that will eat a minnow, so I don't see why it wouldn't work for tarpon. It's got a lot of movement, some natural color. Anyways, let's get into it. Today I'm using a Daiichi 3111 and a size 1. It's kind of an offset, wide gap, short shank hook. I'm also using UTC 140 in olive. I'm just going to go ahead and start my thread right behind the hook eye and move it back just a hair, probably 1/4 inch or so. We're going to aim to make a bump, and then we're going to go ahead and add some medium bead chain eyes in black. Just tying these in like I would any other pair of dumbbell eyes, X wraps, wrapping underneath, just making sure they're secure to the shank. Then we're just going to go ahead and move that thread back. We're going to go a little bit past the bend here. You can also use these black mono eyes from Hairline if you don't want any weight on this fly. I'm sure when you're tarpon fishing, they're skittish, so no weight is sometimes optimal. The next step here is just going to be to take a little piece of 20-pound mono. I've just doubled it over itself so I can tie it tight to the top of the shank. This is just to avoid our feathers that we're about to tie in from fouling on the hook itself. Just giving that little tug to make sure it's tight. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap forward all the way to the eyes. Making sure that whole piece of mono is covered. And then once we're done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and add some super glue to the top. This just really helps us secure everything down just before we add the other materials in here. Just making sure to get a nice light, even coating. This is an optional step. If you use just stronger thread, you're also able to avoid this step, but next step here is just going to be to grab some saddle hackle. I've just grabbed some pieces that are about 2 to 3 inches long. I've taken off the under fur to expose just that little piece of the feather there in the middle between the fibers. I've taken 2 and I've splayed them apart, so the less colorful side is on the outside of the fly. This is just to help with movement and profile. You can see they're splaying out there. I'm going to cut off my tag ends, make sure those are tied nice and neat. Like I said before, in South Carolina, it's kind of hard to find tarpon, especially if you don't have a boat, so haven't had a chance to fish this yet, but I'm sure it would work for those cruising fish. I'm just going to go ahead and make a dubbing loop here with my thread. I'm willing to do a video on that if anybody needs it. But this is going to be to build up some bulk in the back of the fly using this rabbit Zonker Strip. This is just in tan. I tend to use cheap ones when I'm using it for this application just because they're not as necessary for movement and such. I'm just taking my dubbing tool here and securing it to my thread. I've grabbed a piece of Zonker that's probably just about an inch, inch and a half. I'm going to go ahead and put it in that loop, and then I'm going to cut off the hide. This is going to leave just the flowy fibers that we want. Just like so. Feel free to adjust before you spin it here. This is really the only time you have to adjust it. Make sure you're using a nice long straight pair of scissors here. It just makes the job a little bit easier. You can see I've cut it pretty close to the thread there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and spin it. Give this a good amount of turns. I'm not sure how many I exactly do. I just do it until it looks right to me. And those fibers aren't free falling out. Then I'm just going to palmer that back and go ahead and start wrapping. You see I've put my fibers a little bit far back. That wasn't on purpose. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap to get the excess out the way. You also notice I'm not tight to my feathers here. That's on purpose. That's just to avoid fouling those and making sure everything stays nice and neat. That gap will be hidden by this rabbit anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap all that rabbit in there. Make sure to secure it to my shank. I'm stroking it back here just to make sure I don't get any fibers caught in my thread. Then I'm going to go ahead and wrap back on this portion just a bit, just to make sure all the fibers splay backwards. Profile is looking pretty good to me. We're just going to go ahead and take some of this EP Foxy Brush here in 1.5 inch. You don't want to tie too much of this in. I think I only do 2 to 3 wraps. It's really wiry, so it creates a good profile. It's pretty buggy, but it has a tendency to add too much bulk to your fly if you allow it. When you're working with these brushes, you really want to make sure you get a clean cut off of that wire. You'll see why in just a second. I'm going to break my thread a couple times, but if you get a clean tie-in point, clean cut off part, you'll be all right. As you can see, I just broke my thread there, a little bit of frustration. But if you just go ahead and wrap your thread backwards, just that little tag in there, you can attach a pair of hackle pliers. It makes reapplying the thread much easier. You see I just clip my hackle pliers to the end. That's just going to free hang right there. And I can just start my thread right on top of it. And it broke again. A little bit more frustration here, so you don't get to see that, but went ahead and reattached it. And now I'm just going to palmer this material backwards and wrap that brush forwards. Like I said, just 2 to 3 wraps here. Most of this is going to get trimmed back anyway. Just going to go ahead and secure that tight. I throw a couple wraps in front. It just helps secure that brush to the shank. You see it's a bit of a mess right now, so we're just going to go ahead and tie back on those a little bit. Again, just to splay them backwards and to allow us a tie-in point for our last brush here. Before that last brush comes in, I just like to pick out those fibers. It's a little bit harder to do when you have a brush on top of it. So I'll just go ahead and pick those out with my bodkin. Looking pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and add our last material here. Oops. We got a little bit of woolly critter and olive, 1/2 inch. Same thing here, just being sure you secure all that wire down. Don't leave any wire exposed or it can cut your thread. And I'll just move my thread just in front of those bead chain eyes. This is just to get it out the way so I can wrap this brush freely. And same thing here, not looking to add too much bulk, just looking to fill up that portion of the fly. I typically go just till I get right behind the bead chain eyes. And I secure it right to the top of the shank. Just cleaning up that tie-in point a little bit there, picking out stray fibers. You are welcome to fish this fly just like this, but I'm going to go ahead and trim it up here in a second. And just make sure you don't have any fibers trapped when you're finishing up that fly there. I'm just cleaning up the head a little bit with my thread. Then you whip finish and you're done. Unless you want to trim, of course. I always trim my flies. Looking pretty good. Sorry you can't see the trim job very well here. I'm just taking my scissors along the top and the bottom of the fly and just cutting back that woolly critter and that Foxy Brush a little bit. Making sure not to cut too much, but just making the profile more even and more uniform. And remember guys, 2 videos this week. We got a video today and then the video will be out on Friday as well. Friday's video is going to be redfish focused. We got a nice Charleston staple coming y'all's way. And just like that, we are complete. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you Friday.